Yeah, sorry about that, fans. I don't know what's happening to my connection. All good. Um, what to talk on? What to talk on? I think I want to talk on just multi perspectives and making sure that we understand or we question everything that's going on around us, so that we can stay aware or stay woke, and be able to act accordingly and just understand what's going on around us. Because I just find that when we have a limited perspective of everything, we do ourselves a disservice, and we actually put ourselves in an artificial state of consciousness. So I think that's what I wanted to talk about. I use this as an example. Do you believe in extraterrestrial aliens? I believe in extraterrestrials or aliens. I use this as an example just in terms of us understanding when we are one-dimensional thinkers or three-dimensional thinkers, which puts us in a state of limited perspectives or, multi-perspectives, and we get a bigger picture. Do you believe in aliens or extraterrestrials? I believe in aliens or extraterrestrials. That's what I want to say. Straight away, when I say that, I know that a lot of you are going to think, oh, spook. But if I explain that, what is an alien? If we look at the terminologies inside of a dictionary or anything like that, you can be referring to a foreigner, being a foreigner to overseas, or you could be talking about, outside of the earthly realms. I think in this case here, I'm more talking about a species that hasn't been found yet, and it'll be the same for extraterrestrial, so we talk about what is an extraterrestrial. Well, an extraterrestrial is that from outside of the earth or its atmosphere. When we talk about an extraterrestrial, so if we talk about the sun is an extraterrestrial because it's outside of Earth's atmosphere, but we can feel it inside of Earth. So anything that enters from outside of Earth and comes inside, anything that comes that's from outside of Earth and comes inside the Earth's realm, that's extraterrestrial. So when we talk about extraterrestrial, I'm talking about a sun. We could be talking about a meteor, So if we can understand terminologies, and like I said, if we can understand the labels for what they actually are, and like I said before, the meaning comes before the word, and the word is just a label that we can identify and relate the same thoughts. So in terms of talking about extraterrestrials, that's what I mean. So we talk about extraterrestrials that is outside of the Earth's atmosphere, but yet we can feel inside. So that's a sun, meteorite, and anything like that. When I talk about an alien, that's I'm talking about in terms of, we could be talking about a lot of things outside of, but when I talk about alien, and I believe in aliens, so I'm talking about species, So there are 7.7 million species here on Earth, right? They say there are 7.7 million species. So what is a species? So basically what I'm talking about is a group of living organisms that, share similar traits to each other in terms of reproducing. So that's what I mean by species. So there's 7.7 million species here on Earth, but there's only 1 million documented, 1 million. There's only 1 million species of them documented. So what does that mean? That means there's 6 million species unseen or catalogued by zoologists. So, when I talk about an alien, so basically what that means is there are 6 million species we haven't seen, which are aliens to us. So when we talk about we believe in aliens, well, they're aliens until they're catalogued or they've been seen. So, they say there's 7.7 million, well, and we've only seen 1 million. So there's still 6 million roaming around. So when we talk about aliens and extraterrestrials, that's what I mean. So I share that to give you a bigger state of mind, so that you get a better state of consciousness, so you don't be one-dimensional when it comes to words, but we understand three-dimensionally what I'm talking about, and we get a higher perspective in a lot of ways, what people talk about, higher frequency, to try and understand what's going on around us. Okay, so I say that to say this. When I talk about a system, all right, I'm talking about a system, okay. I'm not talking about a government. I'm not talking about I'm talking about a system that oversees us as a people, all right? So let me give an example. Back in 2009, billionaires, they met, okay, to discuss what was going on with the world's population, okay? These are billionaires. They maybe 1 trillion in there. And they discussed what was going on with the world's population, because at the moment we're at a state of crisis and we're overpopulated. And so they wanted to discuss how to deal with people with overpopulation in the world. Now, these guys that met, we're not talking about government officials. We're not talking about anything like that. So before I carry on this, I'll give you 3 books or a couple of articles and books you can go up and read yourself, so that my statements ain't pseudo, and so that I qualify my statements before I carry on this, okay? You can Google it. You can do whatever. Okay, the first one is Paul Ehrlich. Paul Ehrlich. So that's a Erlich. Okay, in 1968, he done a bestseller called The Population Bomb. So you can look that up online and you can go read that first. The next one is an essay by Steve Wiseman. It was called Why the Population Bomb is the Rockefeller Baby. So you can go read that and you can understand what's going on there. All right. The one that I want to talk about is a book called Fatal Misconceptions, and was by a guy named Matthew Connelly. Okay, if you look up that, so Fatal Misconceptions by Matthew Connelly. If you go and look that up, you'll be able to see for yourself what's going on there. And what I want to talk about is what he found out. So this particular group, they got together, and let me explain the group so you can understand what I'm talking about. So we're talking about Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, Ted Turner. He's the media tycoon, so he owns like CNN and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, these are all those sort of billionaires. Rockefeller, the Rockefeller family. So you're talking about David Rockefeller and his father, John D. Rockefeller. So David Rockefeller, he deals in terms of the oil and the banking system and all that sort of stuff. His father, who's John D. Rockefeller, he dealt with a lot of the, with that, as well as pharmaceutical, okay, or as well as pharmaceutical. So I want you to understand when I say these things here, remember this, because it's going to come back, it's going to come up later on in this, and you'll be able to understand what I'm talking about. So Bill Gates, Ted Turner, the Rockefeller family, and there were 2 other investors. I think it was George Soros and Warren Buffett. Okay, they're billionaires, and so that's what this group contains. So this group here, they decided how the rest of the world, who lives and who dies in the rest of the world, or how they're going to live, or how they're going to get rid of overpopulation in the rest of the world. That's this group. So this group decides the rest of the world's fate. Yeah, I know, it's amazing, eh? That's why I gave you these books, and that's why I say you understand that my statements ain't pseudo, and I'm qualifying them. You can go and look online, you know, so it just gives us a higher perspective of what's going on around us. Okay, so this group, they talked about abortion. Okay, and when you talk about, like, I'm not against women's rights, you know, I'm all for women's rights, but, you know, you have to question when there was a point where there was no abortion was illegal, and then out of the blue, a snap of a finger, it became illegal. It came legal again. It got legalized. It got pushed. It was an agenda that was pushed. That agenda was pushed by them. All right, that's these guys. That's all these top guys. That's all these top billionaires, and they've been doing it for years. Okay, when you talk about the population bomb of 1968, you go in there, you'll see that it's the billionaires of that time. You know, so anyway, they talked about 3rd world countries. All right, so we talk about Africa, how they're going through starvation, and they're going through all the stuff that they're going through at the moment in terms of diseases and all that sort of stuff. They decided that it was best to let them, if they're going to carry on overpopulating themselves, to let them carry on let them be, and let them send no resources whatsoever to help that, because it will help with overpopulation. Okay, they wanted a way to control population. So we talk about China at those times, you know, China had a 1-child policy in place. So basically, they were only allowed 1 child, and any other child that they have that wasn't planned got, well, you get the idea. Okay, so They had one child policy. Just as extra info, China has recently changed that to where they're going to take that away, and now it's going to be called family planning. It gives us an idea that China now has risen up the ranks, and they can now call their own shots. All right, but before all of that, that's what I'm talking about. So we're talking about Bill Gates, Ted Turner, the Rockefellers, George Soros, and William Buffett. The three that I want us to understand is the Bill Gates, Ted Turner, and the Rockefeller. Okay, so yeah, they talked about third world countries not sending them aid and letting them sort of die off, and letting what happens to them happen. Okay, they talked about allowing wars to control overpopulation. Okay, that one there, it's not really proven. It's just more of a that's definitely a pseudo statement. So I can't qualify that, but you know, that was out there. That was out there. So you know, all that sort of stuff. Controlling medical and pharmaceutical medicines. Okay. In terms of the pharmaceutical medicines, there was an article that was done a couple of years ago. And this is what you guys can look up. Look up on Google Dr. Kelly's cancer treatments. All right. And Dr. Royal Rife, a microbiologist. So these guys here, and let me just pull up a thing for them. Okay, so these guys here, they found a way. So there was I think it was a guy or a lady called Joanna Brandt. So she was founder of a purple juice formula, purple grape juice that she was able to use. So when you read through the article, you find out that she was able to use this to heal 93% of cancer patients. All right. She found 12 natural chemicals that were inside of that, and we're talking about carrot juice, beetroot juice, and all that sort of stuff that was able to heal cancer. She found that healed cancer. All right. So what happened was a guy named Dr. Kelly. He took it that one step further, because Joanna Brandt ended up, I think, as they put it, going on the run. You know, because there were people hunting her down, and there was big pharmaceutical companies that were after her. So you know, all that sort of stuff. Dr. Kelly, he sort of adopted that and decided he wanted to use that to match against what the orthodox way was, which was chemotherapy, surgery, and what was the other one? I think it was laser treatment or something like that. So it was those three things there. And so what they had was a 63% survival rate. But that 63% survival rate that they had in that was for only 5 years. So when they done that, the percentage was done on the 5 years that the people were on the program. So basically, what that meant was, it didn't mean that it was healed. It didn't mean they had gone away. And so what happened was, people that were coming off those processes, it was either coming back harder, it was coming back faster, and it was hitting them. So Dr. Kelly adopted Joanna Brandt's formula, and so what he ended up doing was he ended up using it and found out that he had a 93% cure rate. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Yeah, if you look up Dr. Kelly's treatments, you'll be able to see. So what they did was they shut him down, moved him out. Basically, I think he fled to Mexico. They shut down his whole laboratories and all that sort of stuff. Big pharmaceutical companies. So we're talking about pharmaceutical companies like Big Pharma and all that sort of stuff. So these guys there, they didn't want them to find, didn't want them displaying those cures that they have found, because that tied into their money. So that took away all their billions of dollars and all that sort of stuff. So they wanted him gone. So, they chased him down basically until he passed away. So I think for the rest of his life he stayed in Mexico. All right. So we talk about a guy named Dr. Royal Rife. Let me just pull him up. So he was a microbiologist, claimed 100% cure rate using electromedicine to kill microbes inside a cancer cell. Okay, the American Medical Association tried to buy him out. Rife refused, so the FDA shut him down, destroyed his lab and inventory, and he went on a run as well. So basically, anyone that found a cure, they were being propagated, they were being shut down, they were being hunted and moved out. Okay, basically. So that's what these people do. Now, I said this to say that. So when I talk about these guys at the top, so they controlled the media, they controlled the pharmaceutical companies, they controlled the movies, so all the propaganda that we're getting out here in terms of these people here, and they also controlled most of what was going on the internet as well at a certain time when Bill Gates owned Microsoft, and Microsoft was the only one on there. You know, now obviously Microsoft has a lot of people, has a lot of other companies to compete with it now, you know. But back then, that's how they controlled that whole sort of thing. So that's what these guys at the top did, you know, these guys that sort of thing. Let's talk about those that those who sold out to the pharmaceutical industries. Okay, so what basically Big Pharma and all these other big pharmaceutical guys did is they bought out all these little pharmaceutical companies, got rid of them, all right, and then grabbed their medicines, and then they went along and they overcharged for it. I think if any of you's got Netflix, there's a documentary on there where it shows Big Pharma trying to exploit people's medicals and the medicines that they needed for themselves. You know, just to give you an idea of the people who actually run the top and how it filters down. Okay. Now remember what I said. These guys at the top, none of them have anything to do with the government, but they fund and they funded the United Nations. All right. They funded a lot of things. You know. Let's have a look at this. These are the people that sort of sold out, or the companies that sold out to the industry. They included the media, which may largely be owned by the owners of the pharmaceutical industry, movie companies, Congress, White House, the American Cancer Society. The American Cancer Society is a big one because that's actually established there. And you see a lot of people sort of going and going on behalf of them, you know. So whenever you see it, like, get rid of them. They're not even there for that. They're not trying to cure. Let's see. American Cancer Society and the Susan G. Foundation, the state medical boards, the American Medical Association, and the health insurance companies. Health insurance is another big one because health insurance, they need you to keep on having these medical bills. So they need you to never ever get cured. All right. And that, so basically for me to share that was to tell you that there were natural remedies that even our people knew before we were colonized. All right, we were colonized by the European, well, the British that came over here. So, you know, it gives us an idea. The American Cancer Society and Susan G. Komen, which is one of the two of the foundations, biggest foundations. The Cure have no interest of curing cancer. So they basically have no interest in curing cancer. They are collecting money. In fact, the American Cancer Society was really funded by J.D. Rockefeller. So there's their Rockefeller name again, okay? So remember, the guys that were overseeing this whole sort of thing of controlling overpopulation, we're talking about Bill Gates, we're talking about Ted Turner, we're talking about the Rockefellers, all right? So we're talking about all these guys here, and then we were talking about a couple of investors. These are the guys that's running everything at the top. Now, these days, so that was back in 2009. That was only 9 years ago, fams. 9 years ago. These days, it'll be a different lot of billionaires, you know what I mean? Trillionaires, or whatever you want to call it, okay? So that gives us an idea in terms of what's going on around us and, you know, what we need to do. So I shared that to say this. We talk about this 1080 that's going on over here at the moment, right? Okay, what I want us to understand is that 1080 that's going on over here. I don't know if any of you have done any research on it, but basically 1 teaspoon of 1080 can kill, they say 1 teaspoon of 1080 can kill 100 humans. Okay, so this is the stuff that they're dropping around our you know, around the land, around and all the mammals. I think recently they tried to do a sneaky one, and they tried to drop it over here in Auckland. So all the water reservoirs, they're trying to drop it on them over there, and basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to, they sent out an email that basically said, oh, look, if anyone asks, just tell them that we're going to close down the reservoirs, we'll shut down the reservoirs, and we won't, we won't let that water out. The problem I have is they'll shut down the reservoirs, they'll drop that 1080, okay? They'll drop that 1080, but then where does the water in those reservoirs go? So they shut it down, okay, that's fine. So what are they doing? What they do is they let that water out again. All right, so they say, and I know that they say that, the 1080 dissolves in water to where it becomes harmful and all that sort of stuff. In fact, it got stopped from them trying to do it in the reservoirs up here in Hanua Falls, I think it was. It's still in court and it gets decided on Friday. This is what I want to say. If it's truly unharmful when it hits water, then every single one of those guys that's arguing for 1080 to get done, I'd like to see them put a pallet of 1080 in water at the courthouse and drink it in front of everyone to prove to us, just to prove to us, because I don't know, because what this looks like is it looks like another thing, because this thing here, 1080, this is an American thing, all right? These are found in plants over in Australia, and they're doing it in South Africa and America. So to me, it looks like it's more of a depopulation sort of scheme. I don't understand what's going on there. So when it comes to that 1080 and all that sort of stuff, I want them to drink it. That's what I want them to do. I wanted them to take that drink, and I want them to scull it with a pallet of 1080 in there. And if they're alive, hey, they proved me wrong, I'll be absolutely sorry. But if they don't, then, there's no point. There's no point arguing any other point. Oh, it can do this. The chemicals in this don't actually do this. Prove it. Put that 1080 in your mouth, and then we'll see. Okay, that's all I want to say. So when I talk about that, fams, I want to talk about that in terms of this, what they're doing to our country. Now, our country's been noted as one of the top, from 2012 to 2016, our country was noted as one of the top countries. It was actually number one for, 4 years? 4 years as a place to raise your children and one of the top places in the world. Last year, it dropped to number 3. This year, if you look on different sites, it's either number 3, number 1, or number 8, but it's still on top 10. So what are they doing? So up here in Auckland, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it more of a tourist resort. So what they do is they're lifting up the rates. They're lifting up the rates. They're trying to make everything there, and then trying to move everybody out that can't afford it. Then what they do is they bring everybody else in from other countries. They buy up the houses, right? And they go along and, they use the resources in this country for all it's worth. All right. And then they'll move out, and then they'll obviously they'll go out and leave everything that's sort of crap, while at the same time taking everything away from us. I will do another video and, soon. And on that video, I want to explain in terms of our rights, in terms of what the Crown is doing to us. All right. What our rights are in terms of understanding what's going on with the Crown, with land, with our houses, with everything that's going on around us, and how they're manipulating everything, and how we need to peel away the fine lines to understand what's happening here. So what's my solution to all of this? my solution to this would be, we need to govern we need to govern ourselves. That's what my solution is. My solution is, and I don't mean as a people, I mean as family. So, I'm going to hook up with my family, and, hopefully, we have a reunion where I can talk about this stuff, and I want our family to govern ourselves. So basically, we'll have a board. We'll put funds into there to look after our whānau, and I believe if everybody does that, you'll be able to protect yourself. Because right now, as a part of that population crisis thing, they're looking at trying to make the poor obsolete as well. All right, so that's why the reason why you see me out here trying to work with people. Just a couple of days ago, I was working with a window washer boy. I said to him, why is he doing window washing? He said he can't get on winds. I said, why can't you get on winds? He said, because he doesn't have any identification. He doesn't have identification to get on WINS, you know what I mean? So I took him into birth certificates and marriages, made him give his whakapapa. He got a birth certificate, went in, signed up for WINS. Then I took him from WINS and I showed him everything that he needs to sign up for in terms of what he wants to do, the courses he needs to do, the license he needs to get, you know. And it's a 3-year plan for him, you know. And then what he does is he gets himself all up to date and understanding his qualifications and understanding his skills, and then he can move on from there into the dream that he wants, where he can move it into a job, you know. One thing I did say to him though is don't get pushed into a job he doesn't want to be in. He doesn't want to be in. Okay, and that's what I say to everybody is don't get pushed into a job that you don't want to be in. Because the way that the people at the top are running this whole thing is we're working to fill somebody else's pockets. We're working to fulfill somebody else's dreams. We're working to fulfill somebody else's legacy, while our kids or our next generation are gonna, you know, still be left struggling. You know, and the most important part of it is we do all that work, and when it comes to our time to being on our deathbed, you know, and I've seen a lot of stories, and I know you have too, the first thing that we think, that they say we think, I should have spent more time with my family. So that's why I do this. I do this so that we can all spend more time with our family. We can all have a good time, you know. But I have lawyers that are going to be jumping on here on this platform that I'll be interviewing, police officers that will be jumping on here on this platform that I'll be interviewing, you know, and we can, you know, we could see what's going on around us, but at the same time, you know, I'll share family, I'll share fams, I'll share everything, fams, you know, make sure that we never are left unwanted, you know, we never get left in the dark. So what our rights are, what we can do and what we need to accomplish, you know, for us and our family. So I see Bill's on, I see Romano's on, I see the Cuzzy was on, you know, if you guys want to jump on board, brothers, you know, jump on board, you know, link up with me. We can make something happen. No problem at all. Okay. Because this is what's going on around us right now. And with the world being in a overpopulation crisis, you know what they're going to end up doing, eh? This is where they're going to force things to happen, force wars to control population. They're going to force medical bills. They're going to get rid of everything that's medical. They're going to throw a lot of impurities into our foods. You know, we talk about that 1080 going into the water reservoirs and all that sort of stuff. That's going to come through our water system, what we use to wash our vegetables, you know, what we use to, you know, all that sort of stuff. So we've got to understand what's going on. And it's just for us to have higher perception of what's going on around us. All right. So that's why I share this. So, you know, if you want to work in with me, work in with me. Don't sit on the sideline. Jump on with me. It's all good. All are welcome. Sure, fams.